Welcome to Poets from the Neighborhood. I am VeerajaR.
And I'm Bruce Jennings. We hope you'll enjoy the poems we'll be reading today, poems written by your friends and neighbors. And the first one is written by me, and it's entitled, Call Me Al. And in this poem, a word is used often, and I need to give it an explanation. The word is use, and it's spelled Y-O-U-S-E. It's a phrase not often heard in our part of the country, but it's rather commonplace in certain parts of Chicago. Call me Al. Ingots of insight reside sometimes in the argots of the street. My wife's uncle, Al, was the only person outside of the Bowery Boys movies I ever heard use the word use. In his life, he traversed the long distance from a Lithuanian neighborhood on the south side of Chicago to a modest house in Cicero. Along the way, though, he never lost the affability of a butcher negotiating with a customer across the meat counter. What cut would you have this week, Mrs.? In the corner store that bore his family name until it was looted and burned one spring evening in 1968. Playing golf decades later on a visit with the family of his brother, an engineer in the oil business of Tulsa, who long before had left the family store and the meat carving life of the hog butcher of the world, Al said to me, "What club would you use from here?" He proceeded to place his next shot directly in a sand trap. As I watched its low trajectory with a slight fade, his signature golfing stroke, regardless of club selection, I understood that this question was also signatory of Uncle Al, as much as was his use of use. It was not a question to be posed in the presence of expertise or authority, say in conversation with a better golfer across the counter in the pro shop, where he might have said, "Which club should I have used?" An unanswerable question, really, since his landing in the sand was preordained. Al certainly appreciated that having humility in the presence of professional golfers or butchers has its place, but not on the public links of everyday life, the streets where Uncle Al's walk and propel their own plans, schemes, or hopes into the sand or along the grass in the heat of Tulsa's morning sun. Al violated the grammar of the second person pronoun, the better to affirm its wisdom. He set aside the first person of the expert, what should I use? He set aside the impartial third person of the collective, what would they use? He embraced the second person promiscuous, what would use? The question treated me as an individual member of a shared world, one use among others on the fairway, far away from the family store in Chicago, but still there nonetheless. The use of use is a nomad of reminding meaning. Al posed then one question of recognition amid a lifetime of such questions, almost all of them quotidian, asked and answered within the boundaries like those set by the lines of golf, in search of meanings that remind, playing through, replacing divots, raking sand smooth for the next poor player, holding the flag pin, keeping still as a use, driving or putting applies a concentrated skill. To ask a use something is to attach a sound to belonging. To be asked a question as a use is to be asked a question that could be asked of anyone, a random passerby, as well as the asker's niece's husband. To be asked a question as a use is to be reminded that respect dwells within the recognition of a shared humanity as much as in the recognition of unique identity. Al didn't have to teach me to respect my me, but he did help me to lessen the distance and walk to the green together with the yous who use use.
Iris, poem written by me. Lonely backfence beauty ruffles her dress in the sunlight, ready to dance. Who will take her hand?
Our next poem is written by Louise Strang, entitled Inside Cat. A cat prefers a cluttered house stacked with human stuff, a jungle of possessions where enough is not enough. Paths through piles create terrain with cover for a blind, a necessity for hunters of the feline and humankind. Motionless along a limb, his tree is just a chair. Above the forest floor, he's poised to pounce on passing travelers there. With focused eye and open ear, he welcomes their blithe prance. In their heart of hearts, they do believe their safety is not up to chance. From jungle's unseen heights above, a flying leopard leaps and rides the back of hapless dog who thought his home he had protected from attack. A single bark was all it took to end the siege and cause retreat. Cat jumps up to mountaintop to sleep off his defeat.
The next one, a short scenery poem. Good Heavens by VeerajaR. Living, time to wise up, hell-bent for grace.
Our next poem is by George Spain. The Devil is a Gentleman. The devil is a gentleman on a fine blood horse. He sits on an English saddle, of course. His coat is blood red, his waistcoat pure white. His boots are knee-high, his spurs shining bright. Handsome he is, with his coal-black hair and close-cut beard and a smile so fair. He doffs his top hat to all he sees, to rich and to poor, for he believes one should not look wicked, one should look kind. For his face tires easily, looking wicked all the time. In the old days, his face was so scary it made babies cry. But now people smile up at him as he smiles from on high. He knows he must change to keep up with man, who's changing faster than even God can. Or so man believes. He believes he knows all, that God and the devil are both falderall. Now that he's lost faith in the hot fires of hell, man just wants to text and to tweet and to send emails and talk on cell phones and spend more than he's got. So now the devil's a banker who lends money from a pot. He leaves hell every morning with cold coins in his purse. He rides forth with a smile to see whom he can coerce, with their souls as his collateral of all that he loans, which one day he'll collect on, and he'll smile at their groans. For the devil's a gentleman on a fine blood horse, who sits on an English saddle, of course. His smile draws man to him. His smile is so fair. Handsome he is, with his coal-black hair.
How is it justified? Written by VeerajaR. That's me. How is it justified when many are scrambling to raise the young, not having enough? a proper home for the family, and hearts filled with compassion come up empty handed, struggling to meet the need of the needy with every penny. Numbers to be divvied amongst, always rising, with pollution, natural disasters, and now the pandemic. More families, more children, at the edge of poverty. Doesn't every single child deserve kindness? Their families a lift, helping hands that reach out? Should we not, with every beat of our hearts, strive to nurture the children in every way to grow physically, intellectually? At every step, teach them to choose compassion, to be fair, and to share with all. How is it justified? I hear the children ask that one man could throw billions to be in space just for a few minutes. Isn't that outrageous indulgence when many of us are starving, old folks dying because of no medicine? Where is fairness? Where is justification in this world? Thank you for watching Poets from the Neighborhood. We hope you'll join us again soon.